So we'll call the meeting to order. And with that, Jennifer, could you call roll, please?
Yes. Justin Delacruz,
Here.
James Hiding.
Can I interrupt for a second? Jennifer, it shows that you're still in practice session at the top. Have we officially started the meeting?
Thank you. Yes, I hit record and then a pop-up came up that I didn't see. So thanks for letting me know. It says the webinar has started. Thanks, Lori.
You're welcome.
Tracy
here.
Lesage,
Here.
Stephanie Patterson, Kelly Ranasinghe,
Here.
Phil Spiegel,
Here.
Martin Williams.
Here.
Okay, we have 6 out of 7 members, so we have a quorum.
Excellent, excellent. So moving to the chair's report. I don't have much to report other than it's good to see you all. Hope you all have been safe and have been thriving. I think Stephanie just joined us. So let's note we have everybody here. That's awesome. So I think I'll end my oral report with that. Good to see you all. Let's move to approval of the minutes. Hopefully you've all had a
Justin?
chance.
Unless you
I
are
can't hear
doing
anything.
purposefully, I don't know if there are actually any members of the public here, but
Oh, I'm looking, sorry about that. I meant to call for public comment. I'm just going off the agenda. If there is anyone in the meeting who would like to provide public comment on any items on the agenda, please speak up.
Thank you for offering that, Justin. Actually, I show one attendee, Jeff, who's in our department, and the rest of us are panelists who are either staff of the State Bar or members of the Oversight Committee.
Okay.
I was just texting you that Jeff was trying to get in because he will be speaking during my part and I have my agenda item.
Oh, should I change him to a panelist?
Yeah, might as well.
Or I can unmute him right now. Also, Lisette Oliva has just joined, another staff member who comes to our meetings. Hello, Lisette.
Hey, Lita.
So I guess when it's time for Jeff to talk, just let me know and I'll allow him to talk, Michelle.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, on to moving to the approval of the minutes. Hopefully you've all had a chance to glance at them. And I'll be entertaining a motion to approve them.
I move to approve the previous minutes.
I second.
So I have Kelly moving and Stephanie second to approve. Any discussion? Any amendments? Seeing none. Jennifer, could you call the roll?
Justin Delacruz,
Aye.
Jim Hiding. You might be muted.
Sorry, abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay, Tracy Lesage,
Aye.
Stephanie Patterson,
Aye.
Kelly Ranasinghe,
Aye.
Philip Spiegel,
Aye.
and Martin Williams.
Aye.
Okay,
All right, the minutes are unanimously approved. Thanks, everyone. So we'll move to staff report. I'm assuming that's Michelle and recent developments.
Moving right along. So there are a few things that I wanted to tell you all about. First off, Jennifer, will you bring Jeff in as panelist so I can introduce him?
I'm allowing him to talk. And so he needs to unmute him. Okay.
And
Hi, everybody. I don't know if you can see me. I can't see myself.
no, I still can't see him.
Oh, okay. Let me go in
Now
and
we
try
can.
to promote him to
Yeah.
a panelist.
So while Jeff is coming, I will tell you all that he is a new staff member who has been working with the LAP on special projects. He's in a senior analyst position and has been working on special projects and probably will not be with the LAP super long term. He is an attorney and was going to tell you about himself too, so I'm hoping he'll pop up in a minute.
What's his last name?
Brockmeyer.
Buckmeyer. And Jeff, I just sent you the invitation, so you might need to log in that way.
Okay, I'll try that.
Okay, thank you.
So far, what Jeff has been doing a lot of work on is updating internal documents. So there's been some forms that we've been using also for the, as you all have heard about in previous meetings, and Lori will talk about later, for the ASAR project with probation. So some that will be relevant for them on both the mandatory and voluntary sides of LAP. And when we talk later in the business section about our strategic plan goals, he's working on helping us meet those goals too. And so we'll talk about that also. Well, oh, here he is. There's Jeff.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Jeff.
So hopefully you heard what I was saying too, but I just give the group a little bit of an introduction. So if you want to tell them anything about yourself.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry, I missed the last 30 seconds while I was logging out and logging back in, but yeah, nice to meet you all. I spent about the last 5 years in Army JAG Corps. I started working for the state bar in November, originally in OCT. I made the transfer to the lawyer assistance program in April. So I'm only been here a couple of months, but it's nice to be here. Nice to meet you all.
So last time we talked, we were anticipating the new study that Patrick Crow was doing together with the California Lawyers Association and the DC Bar. And we sent you, some of you may have logged into that presentation he did at the end of April. The actual study was published in May, I think it was May 12th. It's called Stress, Drink, Leave by Anker and Krill. And it's if anyone is interested, you can, I'm sure, Google it up, or I can send you the link if you want. The focus of this one was on women and drinking in the legal profession and how it affects attrition with female attorneys. And this showed just a highlight from the abstract that the prevalence and severity of depression, anxiety, stress, and risky and hazardous drinking was significantly higher among women, and work-family conflict was associated with the highest likelihood of leaving for women, while overcommitment was the #1 predictor of leaving for men. So this is the next thing I think that people will be talking about in the legal profession. And as one of our strategic plan goals, I've been on the wellness committee with the California Lawyers Association. And one of the things that CLA is talking about doing, separate from the wellness committee, but making a task force to talk about this report and to talk about addressing the problem specifically for women in the legal profession and women leaving the profession and substance use and mental health issues for women. So that there will of course be more to come on that. Any questions or comments? This was just an FYI.
Michelle, could you put the link? I don't know if we can drop it for everybody, or if you put a link in the chat for everyone, if that goes
We don't
to.
have any chat because of the bombing. Sorry, Justin.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, we can email.
I forgot about that.
It's in a
It's on the
journal
PMC
called,
site.
what's that?
It's on the PMC site. If you want to just Google it, it's a free article.
Okay.
And it's in a journal called +1, PLOS.
What was the name of the article?
Stress, Drink, Leave. An
Okay.
examination of gender-specific risk factors for mental health problems and attrition among licensed attorneys. By Anker, ANKER, and Krill.
If anyone can't find it, just let me know and I can find it and email it to you.
All right. Another recent development is, for those of you who haven't heard, that the State Bar has been without an executive director. Donna Hershkowitz was the acting executive director for the past, since the beginning of 2019. And so the Board of Trustees has appointed a new old executive director. So Leah Wilson will be coming back. She's starting, I believe, in July next month. So another FYI, but if any of you are interested in that or interested in welcoming her back, she will have her State Bar email address back again. And then I think that's all I've got in recent development. Everything else, I think I will tell you when we get down further into the business section on our strategic plan goals. There's no legislative update. I don't have any new information about the fee bill. As far as I know, it's still just going through as it was last time.
Michelle, the only thing I would add on that is, along with appointing Leah, they're looking for a new chief trial counsel, and they have not yet even recommended anyone for that position. The legislature then would appoint. There is some talk that the legislature is going to tie the fee bill to the appointment of a chief trial counsel. And so whether they're going to stick to that or not is the question, I suppose. And so that's a slight kink in the works of getting the fee bill through this year. It doesn't necessarily affect LAP. Do you get your money under the separate statute or in the fee bill every year, Michelle?
It goes through the fee bill.
It does go through the fee bill. Okay. So yeah, I guess it could affect depending on what they do. If they end up holding it up somewhat, it's something that we're looking out for. And I know that Leah coming in and all of the senior management is going to be working to make sure that, they have a good relationship with the legislature and get someone chosen and hopefully appointed so that there's no problems with the fee bill.
All right, shall we pass it on to Lita for an update on outreach?
Hello, everybody. So I'm happy to report that outreach has been, we've been going in a great positive position. I've actually accomplished all the 2021 goals already mid-year. So real quickly, I've conducted 41 presentations. 10 of those were to law schools, 3 to law firms, 9 to government agencies, 11 to bar associations, and 8 to different organizations. On top of that, I hosted, as LAP hosted, public MCLEs that were open throughout, to all, not only attorneys, but to law students and bar applicants. One was in January, March, and May, and I have another one coming up in July. We also hosted a law school day, which had speakers from OCTC to talk about the disciplinary system, moral character, and admissions to talk about, what the procedure is, coming in as a law student and what you're going to go through, taking the bar exam and so forth. And also the attorney regulation and consumer resources to talk about your State Bar profile, how important it is to make sure that you're filling out paperwork timely and so forth. That was an overwhelming success. Within less than 2 weeks of advertising that, we already had 500 people register, which was the max that we can hold for a Zoom webinar. Unfortunately, only 215 attended. We can't, how people are, and I sent out reminders saying, if you cannot attend, please cancel, because I have a wait list of people that want to attend this. So I was so happy though, just to see how people want this information, especially law students and bar exam applicants. Michelle and I also hosted a presentation about LAP and wellness strategies to the Office of Chief Trial Counsel, which we had about 150 attendees participate in that. And I'm getting more and more requests now to conduct presentations in person. As you know, June 15th, California opened up, yay. And so we're getting back to a normal world, or soon to be a normal world. And so requests are coming in. a lot of law firms are still kind of hybrid, some will stay remote, some will stay half remote, half working in person. But I am getting a lot of requests now to do in-person presentations, which I think is great because people are tired of being cooped up and staring at the computer all day long. I also have my quarterly newsletters that continue to come out with Office of Communications. That's what I call them for short, Office of Admissions. And we still are having emails go out to our bar exam applicants as well as our law students, which pump up our numbers. So between January and May of this year, Jennifer's section, the short-term counseling, they received approximately 211 calls, and then 39 people signed up for counseling, which deals with stress, anxiety, grief, and so forth. And then 53 people signed up for career counseling. As far as our number of calls coming into LAP, we've had a good steady amount of calls come in. And Michelle, I don't know if you go into actual number of participants enrolled. Do you go into all that?
Yeah, I have that for my.
Okay, then there's no need to be redundant. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to share my screen real quick here. And let's see, where did it go? I'm trying to bring up. Okay, I need this. There it goes. Okay. So about 2 weeks ago, I filmed 4 videos for our social media, and I'm just going to play one of them. It's less than a minute long, so.
Bar applicants, we understand that the usual stressors associated with studying for the bar are greatly magnified this year. We want you to know that you are not alone. If you are struggling with career concerns or worries about other issues in your life, or if you're experiencing a significant increase in anxiety, depression, or substance use, the Lawyer Assistance Program is here to help you. We offer services such as short-term, one-on-one remote counseling. All help is completely confidential, and some of the services are free. Find out more on our website or call us today and make your wellness a priority.
So I just wanted to let you know what we're doing as far as outreach with social media. This, the 4 videos that I conducted. Whoops. Sorry about that. We filmed one for attorneys focus on substance use, bar exam applicants, and then the 4th one was for law school students. These videos will go on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And that's also including our regular social media posts to talk about my free MCLEs that are to attorneys, and also the presentations that I do for law schools and law students, bar exam applicants, and so on. So we're working very closely with the Office of Communications, and I want to give a big shout out to them. They're doing a fabulous job. I love working with them. They're great people. And so our social media is really hitting home, and we can tell because of my phone and my emails are, phones ringing off the hook, emails are coming in daily. So that's primarily what I have for you today. Do you have any questions for me?
I want to thank you. This is Jim Hiding. I want to thank you for your efforts. It sounds like they're really paying off. It really is appreciated. Thank you.
You are
Yeah,
welcome.
ever since you joined our program, I think you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Likewise, Lita. I've seen some of the information on LinkedIn, and I think that's just awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate all your positive comments. It really makes us feel good. Who's next?
Any further questions for staff on the staff report? Okay, let's move on to business. Item A is discussion of the benefits of continuing remote versus in-person LAP groups. I'm not sure who's taking the lead on that.
Well, I'll just say this is a continuation of the discussion we were having last time. Last time, I'll give a recap in case anybody was not there. We talked about what feedback I had gotten from the group facilitators and had all the group facilitators ask their participants for feedback about their experience now with the virtual LAP groups and what it's like for those people who just started and for those who used to be in-person, how they've compared it to in-person. And overall, it was really overwhelmingly positive towards the virtual groups. People had feedback about it being, of course, much more convenient. We don't have any statistics specifically about the rates of missed groups because we can't really track that, but we can track the unexcused missed groups and just anecdotally how, what the group facilitators say about attendance. And it seems that attendance has improved, that the number of unexcused missed groups has decreased, not hugely, I think it was like 1%, but what some people had said in their feedback is that they have noticed themselves being, where they would have asked for an excuse previously, going to the group because they don't have to do the commute time and they don't have to leave the office to get somewhere else or vice versa. So, so that's been really positive. Some people have said that they like the feel of it. They just feel more comfortable being able to share, whereas in person they felt a little more, I guess, uncomfortable, more in the spotlight, and now they feel comfortable in their own homes. Some people said on the opposite side that they liked that personal connection and they were missing the socializing a little bit before and a little bit after, like the fellowship part of the groups. And the group facilitators across the board had said that they feel like their relationships with the participants and their ability to monitor them, the only thing that's really missing is the ability to smell people, to see if they smell alcohol on them. But not that that happened so often previously when they're in-person group, but it seems like they have felt like that's been a trade-off that it's just been outweighed by the benefits of people being more consistent and engaged in the groups, and the convenience for them too. The expense of not having to rent an office. Some of them have let their office space go as they've been doing the virtual groups. I can find the numbers that I had, but we had asked them about who would prefer in-person, and some of them had suggested doing a hybrid model. So we haven't really talked about how that would actually work if we decide to do it. There were the group facilitators, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them who preferred remote. 2 of them said, or they would also like a hybrid. And then about 74 participants who preferred remote. No group facilitators preferred in-person. 4 participants said they preferred in-person. And then there were 2 group facilitators who had no preference, although one said he thoughtfully made no preference with a lean toward online, and 2 participants had no preference. So really the 74 compared to the like 6 in-person or no preference seemed like most really did prefer remote. So that's what we talked about last time. And I know the group wanted to have some more information about studies and things that were more scientifically based than just asking our participants for their personal experience. So we had sent out a couple of articles, which I had Jennifer send just about an hour ago. So it will be in your email if you don't have it handy, but Dr. Patterson and Williams had sent some articles that they had seen. Really, if either one of you want to talk about what you had found in the research, or I can summarize if you prefer. And while you are thinking about that, I will tell you that one of the group facilitators also connected me with a professor that he has worked with who thought this was a really interesting topic and thought that there should be some specific research on it, and that there isn't, but he's thinking, now that we've talked about it, of writing a paper. But he said that in his experience, he is worked with anger management, I guess, and has seen that it did not affect the outcomes. Although maybe participants felt less connection with a virtual therapist, it didn't affect the outcomes of their anger management. And in the few bits of literature that he was able to review, it seems like there was, overall his opinion was there needs to be better study on it, but it's inconclusive whether there's more higher dropout rates with virtual, or does the clinical impact that is achieved recede faster than if it was achieved in person. So that was something I think that we hadn't talked about last time that he brought up, is just this question of not knowing how long the benefits will last and if there's a difference with in-person or virtual. And then he just wrote, the literature is largely positive, types of studies could be improved, and virtual groups can be done successfully and well, although there's limited research support for or against it. Dr. Patterson or Williams, did either of you want to talk about the studies that you had forwarded?
Sure, I'll go ahead and jump
Real
right
quick, Stephanie, before you start, I just wanted to see if there was a policy decision that we need to make on this today, or if we're continuing to discuss this. Do we need to, is there an imminent decision that we need to make about
I think it's up to the committee if you want to make a decision, or if you want to just keep it under advisement. Now that California's opened back up again, it might be possible soon to go back to in-person groups. The question is, do we want to do it? Do we want to, and if we do want to do it, what our time frame would be? And one of the strategic plan goals is to talk about this very question. It is in the program design and effective intervention section, C number 1, to discuss potential or demonstrated benefits of the LAP groups in a virtual format and continued use of virtual LAP groups in the future, even after mandated physical distancing recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that frame. I'm sorry, Dr. Patterson, for interrupting you, but I just wanted to kind of put us all in the same frame and the same context. So I will go on mute.
So thank you for that wonderful and awesome information. So I submitted several evidence-based articles for consideration regarding the benefits of telehealth or virtual delivery. So there's one on, I'm not going to belabor the issue and go over all of them, but the overwhelming evidence tends to show that there is a preference for virtual communication as opposed to in person, because it's more cost effective. Like was mentioned previously, patients a lot of times seem to be more forthcoming in terms of information, and a lot of these articles are recent, within the past 5 years. So feel free to take a look at that. It's just some really good information in terms of where we want to go with this.
Dr. Williams, did you want to talk about any of the research that you had found?
Well, I just found that one study that I sent along, and that appears to show equivalent outcomes in a sample of veterans for face-to-face and telepsychology in treatment groups. So that's the only one I'm familiar with, and it indicates that they're the same. So it just comes down to what's preferred and what's convenient, I think.
And I suppose what I didn't mention, not just about the effectiveness of the groups, of course, we're not doing therapy groups, but of the ability of us to monitor and support our participants, is some of the ideas that we've been talking about and batting around with the staff. If we are able to stay with in-person groups, it does open up some more opportunities for us in the future if we want to go in other directions. When we do in-person groups, you need to have a critical mass of people in one certain area to be able to come in. So we didn't have groups in remote rural areas. So we had started doing what we called the e-groups before everybody went virtual. So we had some people who were already doing e-groups and probably some who would continue. Well, certainly there would be some who continue doing e-groups if they're not close enough physically to go to an in-person group. But if you extend that out to the whole state, then we would possibly be able to do more specialty kinds of support groups if, after like looking at this krill and anchor study, if we wanted to have a support group for women, or if we wanted to do a caregiver support group for attorneys who are caregivers, or a specific one for law students. So there's just all kinds of different directions and ways that we could go with it if we're doing virtual groups rather than in person.
I think that's a really good point, because I know previously there was mention about being able to reach legal professionals in rural communities. And I think we can achieve that by increasing access to groups in a virtual setting. Go ahead, Kevin.
So I would concur with what everyone has said so far. As one of the committee members that lives in a rural community, we survive on telehealth out here. The majority of our psychiatric and therapeutic services are engaged through telehealth. Certainly our emergency triage services, particularly for psychiatrists, are often done through telehealth. A great deal of our children's services are done through telehealth. And we currently have one of the largest telehealth groups for peer support going in Imperial County. So telehealth is a wonderful dimension for us out here, and it's absolutely critical. And peer-reviewed evidence has shown that telehealth and remote-based services, both therapeutic and psychiatric, in rural communities are just as effective and absolutely necessary. Otherwise, there would be no way for us to get services. I would just concur with what everyone has said.
This is Jim Hiding. I agree with all of those comments that have been made by everybody. I just wonder if it wouldn't be appropriate to allow the therapist or the counselor or the leader of the group to have the discretion to have in-person groups or in-person meetings.
I think that probably we're going to see the advent of a lot of hybrid meetings. I don't know what I know for the rest of us who are in the program, such as Jim and Jason, Justin and I. I'm finding that a lot of people prefer either one. And I think that one of the few good things from this pandemic is going to be an explosion of online services and meetings in endeavors such as 12-step endeavors in Al-Anon and so on. I think that's the way that it's going to be in the future. But I agree with Jim. I think that it probably would be a good idea to have some of the leaders be able to just do both if they want.
There were some of them who definitely had said when we did that first before our March meeting, when I did that poll of them, who liked the idea of hybrid, although there weren't any who specifically had volunteered to test that out in his or her group and say, I'm going to rent an office space for this and have also a video setup for people to be able to come in person or do virtual. So, so if the committee wants to go that direction, that is probably something I should bring to the group facilitators and ask who or how they would think to set that up. And in what part of the state, I guess, we would do the if we wanted to prioritize any certain part of the state to do the in-person portion.
If they needed that infrastructure, a webcam, some kind of setup, is that something that we pay for, or is that something they would need to pay for out of the monthly stipend or contract that we have with them?
We have not previously paid for it. What they're doing now is using their own devices for their Zooms, and even subscriptions to whatever virtual platform they're using. I think most are using GoToMeeting. I think it was GoToMeeting, but I know they had done some research into HIPAA compliant platforms. And so they have their own memberships if they're using that. I believe the contracts, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the contracts say anything specifically about telehealth. But it does say they need to provide their own office space and their own resources.
I think you're right.
Sure.
I wonder if the contracts
Michelle?
will change next year.
Mhm.
I don't know. Probably not.
Justin, would it be appropriate to ask Michelle to approach the facilitators and say whether they would, whether the facilitators would like a policy directive from the board saying, given committee approval, you are allowed to have hybrid groups?
I bring that to the rest of the group. If they feel like that's the way the committee wants to move,
Sounds good to me.
I'm happy to support it. One thing that I wanted to flag was the issue of camaraderie. Those are, camaraderie is important. I think it helps you stay on track. I think it helps you even after the fact, even after you're done with the program or done with LAP, it helps keep you grounded. I still keep in touch with a few people from my group, and it's been almost 10 years. So you noted that there wasn't any real discussion about that in the responses, just that some people thought that it would be better to create camaraderie and build that. Does anyone else have any thoughts on how we can continue to keep that in the program as we go virtual? Because that's one thing I think that might get lost.
Oh, there's no question that's an issue because, as we all know, people who display substance abuse tend to isolate, and so this, in a certain sense, reinforces isolation. That's the one downside to the whole, I think, issue. And I agree with you, Justin. There's some values, definitely some value in person meetings, which is why I think that hybrid meetings might ultimately be the most workable. But it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, my fear.
Sorry, who's?
I was just going to say my fear with hybrid meetings is you have an instance where you have one person in the group who wants to go in person, and it's just that person in the group facilitator, and then everyone else is on the screen, and then kind of just defeat the purpose. So,
And that's
Well, I
what
think-
from this poll, it sounded like there were like maybe 4 people who would go in person across the state who were asked, and 74 who would stay
yeah,
online.
But I think
Yeah.
if we allow the facilitator to handle that and leave it within their discretion, they can control that to their satisfaction, and it would be okay. That way you can give them the discretion to have the in-person or the remote meetings or a hybrid as they see fit. And it really gives a little more freedom to the treatment plans and programs that are involved. So.
Interesting when you were saying hybrid, I was thinking you meant if they decided to hold it in person, everyone would come in person. And if it was virtual, then everyone would be virtual. I like that idea of it all. I'm concerned about the isolation as well. And I know here, being in the criminal courts, everything has switched over to, during the pandemic with video, and it has a negative impact on the clients. They don't have that human interaction. And they're on an iPad screen. I've seen it, the effects of it. And for me, at least, I would prefer in person. And I do understand, some of those rural areas, but I mean, it sounds like if we're cleared to go in person, it would be available at least in the non-rural areas. So it sounds like they're just choosing it for convenience when they don't need to. Anyways, those are my thoughts.
There was also one person who had mentioned if we go in person, would there still be a mask requirement? That would be another thing that they would, some were concerned about going back too soon, that there might be other COVID strains come out. And for those people who are hard of hearing, found it really difficult to be wearing masks and not be able to read lips, even if they're, not completely deaf, can still hear, but also are relying on being able to see people and see their lips move, then it's really difficult when they're wearing masks. So if they're wearing masks in a group, that's also would be a different tone.
Well, the
Sorry,
latest data right now with this new Delta variant, a study was recently done in Israel, and all of the individuals who became positive, who had not been vaccinated, ended up with fairly dire consequences, whereas they had no case of someone being vaccinated and becoming positive would display any symptoms. They're totally asymptomatic. So, and the Delta variant right now is kind of exploding in this country. And as a consequence, I think we would be remiss if we allowed people who were not vaccinated to come and not wear masks. And it may even be that if they're positive, they shouldn't be. They should wait until they test negative. That's going to become, I think that's going to become an issue. And it's a real public health question right now.
I agree. And then I think the question that comes up is what type of protocols are in place if there is a return to in-person? Are you going to socially distance within a certain feet while you're conducting groups? How do you know who's been vaccinated? Are they going to provide their protected health information to prove? So these are just some other things that might come up.
Well, participating in LAP is not a right; it's a privilege, and we can construct our own rules and regulations. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't, look at the public health aspects of getting people together in groups.
Yeah, that wouldn't be difficult. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
This is Martin. I want to get back to something that went by pretty quickly. The issue of if it is done remotely, what about HIPAA compliance? I do evaluations of people in the jails, and the Zoom link is provided by the government. And so it's not my responsibility, but I looked into Zoom. The Zoom account that I have is not HIPAA compliant, and Zoom will offer you a HIPAA compliant account for much, much more money. And I wonder if LAP needs to have standards about telehealth video connections.
That was also a concern of mine as well. Especially when you said they're all using their own platform, whatever that is. We don't even know what they're using. It sounds like they're HIPAA compliant, but we don't even know. And we're not providing it.
I think that's a concern for them as licensed therapists and clinicians, that they are very aware of HIPAA. And I think whatever they're using, I think one thing might have been called VC for an old e-group. It was like the letter V and then the word SEE. I think that was HIPAA compliant. And I think that they're aware of that, but I guess maybe we could ask them what they are using and if it is HIPAA compliant.
If we continue, that's probably a good idea, to have some kind of rules or protocols to give them guidance so that everyone, it's confidential and stays that way.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, I wanted to go back to your question that you posed earlier, and it seemed like a motion, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
you want to make that in the form of a motion as opposed to,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I would move staff. I would move that the chair direct staff to evaluate whether the facilitators wish policy guidance from the committee on the development of hybrid groups, or sorry, strike that, authorization for hybrid groups. That's one. And second, authorization for rural communities specifically to engage in hybrid or distance groups.
Does that need a second? I'll second it if it's a motion.
That's motion.
So can I clarify the language that you're looking at here was for the, you're moving for the staff to evaluate if the group facilitators want direction and authorization
least-
for hybrid groups?
Yeah, exactly. That way we get a yes or no, and if it's a yes, then we can at least we can move forward with policy guidance or authorization.
So if it's a yes, we come up with some guidance for the group facilitators. If it's a no, are we saying that's that the
No.
committee is acceptable with the group facilitators deciding on their own?
I think we can ask for input, but that's like the tail wagging the dog. I mean, we're supposed to evaluate these situations and give guidance to those individuals who, are working in the program. Obviously, we need input, but I think it should be more in the vein of asking individuals what their feelings are. Isn't there a financial impact on the facilitators if they don't any longer have to rent, a location to have meetings? So we're not going to know whether some individuals want to go to online meetings simply because it's going to be less, it's going to be easier. And I think we have to somehow evaluate the situation and give guidance to the employees of the program.
How would that evaluation or guidance take place? Would it be in the form of a survey? Could you shed more light on that? Or what the thoughts are regarding collecting
Guidance? Are you speaking of the guidance, or are you asking Kelly, or are you asking Phil?
Collecting the information in order to know more about the leader's preference in terms of hybrid versus telehealth versus in person? How are we going to go about collecting that information? Is it going to be
Well, let me ask this: how many group facilitators do we have at the present time?
10, Jennifer? I think it's 10.
10.
Oh,
I'm almost
okay.
I'm almost wondering if it might be at some point prudent to have a Zoom meeting, including all of them, to discuss the situation. But I think we need input both from the from the staff and from the participants first. I mean, it sounds like we've already gotten some information along those lines. But at some point, I think we need to give guidance, and I think that would come, in the vein of having a meeting with them.
I sort of agree with Phil, and I think what I'm going to do is withdraw my motion and just ask that the chair schedule a meeting with the facilitators and a sample group of participants.
That'd be a great idea, Kelly. Yeah.
I think that's the better. I thought we had like 75 facilitators, but if we have 10, then it would be a lot easier just to schedule a Zoom meeting.
So do we want to ask participants to join? I don't know if they'll want to.
I don't know that I think it might be prudent first to have a Zoom meeting with the facilitators to just, get, and then we can take it, we can move on from there.
Yeah.
So do we want a separate meeting with the whole committee, or would it be me and staff and me plus one, basically, and then the staff? Or it doesn't have to be me. It could be Kelly and Dr. Patterson, Dr. Williams. I mean, it could be any two of us. It doesn't necessarily have to be me to collect the data.
Well, with my big ego, I want to be a part of the meeting. So I'd like to just, and I'd like to invite everybody to join in, and so that we can all see what's going on.
I agree with you. I think that's the way it should be done.
I mean,
that's a full meeting. So
having a
that would be a
non-regular,
public meeting.
Meeting
we would
just
have to
requires a
notice
10-day
it,
notice.
schedule it, give the notice for it to be a public meeting and invite the group facilitators. I can send, like we send the doodle poll for when we schedule these. I can see if there's a date when most of them would be available. Just include them on the same doodle poll that we send to this group and do it as a public meeting that's noticed. So we'll schedule it a little bit far out rather than having a working group of 2 members from our committee just meeting privately.
Yeah.
with
Okay.
Facilitators. Okay.
Might I ask if, in the meantime, the staff could develop some kind of policy that would be ongoing for any facilitators to have an in-person meeting should they choose, you know, in the absence of our directing policy. With the opening of the state, they may choose to have in-person meetings. And so maybe we should give them some policy direction as to the vaccination requirement, the mask requirement, the social distancing requirement, you know, that sort of thing.
So here's
If
what
I-
I would move. Sorry, here's what I would move. I would move that facilitators are granted authority to have in-person meetings in accordance with county and state public health guidelines.
I'll second that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think they're gonna need more guidance than that though, because I mean, here we go through them every week. They're lengthy. Some apply, some don't, you know, like our county has different, more restrictive guidelines than OSHA versus the state. So I think that those should be followed, but maybe we should also add something that's more along the lines of what type of work we're doing and, you know, what we would recommend. Because as long as we do something, follow that or we could be more restrictive if we wanted to.
So
For example, here's an example. Let's say, so the guidelines currently say, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to you have to show a test that you're vaccinated if you come to the meeting without a mask. Or something, you know, so I mean, that's a gray area, even though the rules say, yeah, you can come maskless if you're vaccinated, but how are we gonna know if that's the case?
So the bar for employees today just came out that they're requiring employees to notify the bar to provide proof of vaccination if they want to go without a mask in the office. And if you decline to provide the information, or if you're not vaccinated, then you have to continue to wear a mask in the office. So I'm wondering if, I don't know, maybe we need to ask OGC, Michelle, if does LAP want to say for the groups that that's what they would like or something? You know, are we allowed to dictate that? You know, maybe we want to consult with our Office of General Counsel and see what we can require if they're going to be doing in person.
Well, wait a minute. If in-person meetings meet the guidelines of an individual county, I don't see how we can then tell somebody that, you know, we're going against.
I agree. I mean, CDPH sets out a pretty easy to use website. You just look up the specific organization that you are, and then you look up the guidelines, and then you have your safety guidelines. It's very easy to use. So I don't see what other guidance we could provide other than what the state has already provided.
Yeah.
I would say that if I'm a betting person, then I would bet that no group facilitators will choose to have in-person groups quite yet. They might want to down the road, but I think.
Well, you
especially
might
if
win
we-
that bet, but I think that we should give them some guidance in the meantime, should they choose.
Yeah, no, I agree with Jim. I think we have to give some guidance. But I think it would be very important for us to have a meeting with the facilitators to really get a feeling for, you know, what their beliefs are and give them a forum to express their opinions.
Okay, so we have actually a pending motion that we provide guidance to the group facilitators if they choose to hold in-person meetings. And I think that was seconded. I don't remember who it was, but I think there was a second. I think Jim had seconded that. Is there any more discussion on this? I think the outstanding issue is what kind of guidance we're going to give.
That was specified
Um,
in the motion.
Yeah, so,
Oh.
so the specific motion was, we grant facilitators discretion to hold in-person meetings in accordance with county and state public health guidelines.
There you
And
go.
And underneath that, we can even put the URL where it has the CDBH guidelines for meetings.
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
But could I ask a question about something that came up real fast and could be relevant? Somebody pointed out that we're a private organization and we could require anything we want, like you can't come in unless you have proof of vaccination, which public agencies are not allowed to do. So that goes beyond the publicly published guidelines. And I'm asking that as a question. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And I think that my advice to facilitators would be, if they so choose to have in-person meetings, that indeed, if individuals want to attend, I think all individuals should show proof of vaccination.
But I don't think that that's covered in the motion on the floor.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm just telling you from a public health standpoint,
'Cause
because
I-
it's so readily available. I think that individuals who are not vaccinated should probably use the hybrid model.
Yeah, that's why I
So
thought,
I guess I'm trying to amend the motion to see if you want to state something more complex than simply observing the publicly published guidelines.
I mean, I would approve, obviously giving them guidance, but the way the current motion is stated, I wouldn't approve it because it doesn't address how they're going to show proof they're vaccinated. And I did like Lori's idea of consulting with Chief Trial Counsel's office, just to make sure we're covered legally. Well, if we can ask them for vaccination proof and then follow the guidelines. Just seems like a safer route to go. This is new law, new ground. It's super complex. So I'd rather get it right.
We require people to attend group, right, to be part of LAP. And I realize they don't have to be in LAP if they don't want, but I could see somebody saying, well, you made me go to a group. They said I had to go in person. And then I got COVID because the guy who was there with me wasn't vaccinated. And so, you know, I could just, and my lawyer mind's always looking at liability, you know, and that's why I just think it might be a good idea, given that LAP is requiring something of someone. And I don't think, like Michelle says, that anybody's going to start demanding that people go to in-person groups. But since we're trying to kind of lay out guidelines, it might be worth just getting some input from council on this to see if we, again, if we want to require more than what maybe some counties are requiring, saying if you're coming in person, we do want you to prove that you're vaccinated, or that you're going to have to wear a mask if you come, you know, if you won't provide the proof or something like that. It depends how far you want to take it in what's required.
What is CBX doing? What is CBX doing with their meetings with applicants? Are those virtual or are those in person?
Oh, that's a good point.
Because if we were going to go this route, it would make sense to have a policy that's in line with the other subcommittees and committees. You know, if CBX is requiring proof of vaccination to come in and do their interview or final interview, or I forgot what they were called, then it would make sense for us to do the same. If they're not, then it would make sense for us to not be more stringent than other subcommittees.
Well,
which is, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Maybe Kelly, you'd be satisfied with the state bar policy that Lori outlined earlier?
Absolutely. You know, I'm totally satisfied with that, but I think while we're talking about this, people need to be meeting. So, you know, and they're going to keep meeting regardless, you know, whether it's going to be in person or virtually. So we should provide some form of transitional guidance because it's all right there anyway. I'm looking at it right now. There's even a website called Find All Guidance. where you can look at all guidance documents by topic, like home and community, education, treatment, testing. So while we're talking about this, people need to have their treatment. But I'm completely satisfied with the state bar regulations. Yeah.
Well, and actually that's for employees. So I'll inquire on what they're, I think Kelly, I'm sorry, just makes a good point. I don't know what they're requiring of, the board coming to the office or other sub entities, if they're going to start having in-person meetings, or if bar applicants are coming in, what they're requiring of things like that. So I'll try and find out more from our office of what they're doing with, on that side.
Well, I think we were just talking about the regulations or the policies that you mentioned earlier about, if you're not vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. If you choose not to tell anybody whether you're vaccinated, you have to wear a mask, that sort of
Right.
thing. And so, I'd be willing to accept the adoption of that in addition to what Kelly outlined. But I don't want to delay this anymore.
Well, let me ask this question. No one's meeting in person currently, is that correct, Michelle?
You mean for LAP support groups?
Yes.
That's correct. None are meeting in person.
All
Correct.
right. And right now no one's asked you to do that currently, to change from virtual to in person.
That's correct. No one has asked.
Everyone's still getting their treatment, and it sounds like the facilitators and the majority of the participants are happy with the virtual. That sounds what you reported.
Yes, it sounds to me like the majority of the participants and group facilitators are happy with virtual, and they're getting the support and monitoring through our groups, and they are getting their treatment from the other treatment providers. That is often virtual too. Like, for example, individual therapy, they're getting virtually.
So we could stay status quo until we can figure out what rules would be appropriate and would offer a good transition plan, whether we come up with our own, make them more restrictive or less restrictive. We could check to see what other organizations in the state bar are doing, and then come back and implement something, and then give them the option to switch should we do that. Just thinking that might be the way to go.
And if you're scheduling your meeting with the facilitators, you could get their input as well. If you're scheduling that in the next few months, to get an idea of if any of them are really going to want to go back anytime soon-ish, right?
Yeah, I would just hate to urgently rush and adopt. I mean, me working for the public defender's office, I've one of the biggest entities, and I know how time, and I mean, we just had a board meeting that it started at 9, it went till 5, after 5 p.m. discussing the same thing for employees. So, and that didn't even involve treatment. So I just know the rules are clear and you can look at them, but that doesn't mean we can't do something different. And so I just think, unless it's an urgency and they want to do in person right now, we probably should look into.
Well, why would they want to do anything that it's not in line with state or CDC guidelines? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Of course, they are lawyers. They are lawyers, so it's not.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing you're missing is like the example I gave. How would the guidelines should also add whether they're going to have to show their vaccination proof or not?
Of course they have to.
Well, but then you need to add that to then just follow the rules, right? That's not added. The rules don't say you have to prove you're vaccinated.
Yeah. Again, it's a privilege to be involved in LAP. It's not a right. It's a privilege. And this is about public protection. And so in the vein of doing everything with the attitude of protecting the public, we have to protect our participants.
Totally agree with you. So are you gonna add that to then follow the rules plus prove you're vaccinated?
I think anybody that comes to the meeting is going to have to show proof of vaccination.
I think what we discussed was following the guidelines as stated by Kelly and the state bar policy as to employees, which includes the idea of proving you're vaccinated and or wearing a mask.
But I would like to see those employee rules. I don't even know what they say or what I'm agreeing to if I approve.
Okay, well, I was willing to go that, that much farther, but I'd ask that we just vote on whatever there is now and, you
Yeah,
know,
I agree. I just call for the question. I think as the motion stands, it would be, we grant facilitators authorization to hold in-person meetings in accordance with state, county, and state bar guidelines.
We could also add that we encourage verification of vaccination.
And
And
encourage verification of vaccination.
There you go.
I'll accept those amendments as a second.
So I just wanted to point out, we're not exactly clear what the state bar guidelines are, other than the requirement to show vaccination to go into the office without wearing a mask. Lori was going to look at what other sub-entities were going to require, such as CBX and others, to see what the consistency would be. And so it seems like there needs to be more study done. I don't see the urgency in passing or making a policy decision on this, because there isn't a major push to go in person. So I'm just signaling that I will not be supporting the motion.
Can I make one quick comment?
I will not also be supporting the motion. I think that we need to get more insight from, like Lori mentioned, legal counsel, to be sure that what we're doing is, to be sure we're not overstepping our boundaries as well, even though we are the committee.
I won't be supporting it either.
All right, then in that case, I'll withdraw the motion, since I don't think we have it would be a 50-50 tie.
I think we should still study the issue, Lori, and see if we can find out what the guidelines are from the state bar, so that at least by the next meeting, or even after our meeting with the group facilitators, we can be in a better position to actually make a decision on this. Because I do think it's something we need to decide. For me, it's not something we need to decide now with the information that we have.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
Can I make one quick comment? So the rules that Lori referred to that came out today for employees also states vendors and visitors are still required to wear face covering. Special procedures for in-person meetings involving vendors, volunteers, and other non-employees are under development. For now, they will be addressed on a case-by-case basis. Guidance should be sought in advance from HR. So it looks like they are in the process of developing policies and procedures for our sub-entities. And just like Lori said, she's gonna contact OGC, but I think everything's in the works. Everything is happening so quickly right now, because I'm sure a lot of people want to have guidance because things are opening up very quickly. A lot of people want to have in-person meetings. So just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you, Lita. That's helpful. I hadn't read the bottom this morning, so of the thing. So we will find out as much as we can. And then again, I think if you're going to be scheduling a meeting with facilitators, this would help to be part of that meeting also, right? I think they're going to want to be safe also. So if we can tell them you can require this or you can't require that, that would probably also help them to make decisions about if they do think that in-person is going to be helpful for some of their groups, that, what they will be able to ask of the people who come to the meetings. And so I think, again, we should try and get as much information as we can for the meeting with the facilitators, and then after for this group to decide how to go forward. And again, since nobody seems to be asking Michelle to start meeting in person yet, we have some time to work it out.
Okay. Thanks everyone for that robust discussion. It's a really important issue. I know we're ready to get back to normal-ish, and this would be a move forward to that. But this is something we will make a decision on, hopefully at the next meeting. Hopefully we have that guidance or that guidance from the state bar about non-employees, because I think how we move forward is going to depend on that. All right. Item B is the update on strategic plan goals.
Right. And, you know, this discussion was related to the strategic plan goals, and the question in the strategic plan was basically leaning towards, are we going to say we're not going back in person, we're just going to do virtual groups because of potential benefits? And I think this conversation answered that question for now. Is it doesn't sound like anybody is ready to say we're giving up on the idea of in-person groups. We want to talk about how to make that happen in the most effective and safe way. But it sounds like we kind of did answer the question here of whether we're just going to keep virtual groups even when we're able to go back in person.
I wanted to go back and talk about that special meeting that we're going to have with the group facilitators. Do I have discretion to call a meeting like that, or do I need board approval? Why don't I just get board approval? I move that we hold a special meeting with the group facilitators to discuss the continued remote or in-person group facilitator meetings.
I'll
Second,
second.
hiding. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You have 2 seconds, I think.
I'd support that too.
Okay, any discussion on the item? Seeing none, Jennifer, can you call the roll, please?
Justin Delacruz,
Aye.
James Hiding,
Aye.
Tracy Lesage,
Aye.
Stephanie Patterson,
Aye.
Kelly Ranasinghe,
Aye.
Philip Spiegel,
Aye.
Martin Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Jennifer will be sending out a doodle, right, for us to, or Michelle, to schedule that. Okay,
Yes.
all right, sorry.
Yes. So Justin, I'm moving on to strategic plan goals. Besides that one we just discussed at length, some of the other information for those of you who are following along on your own strategic plans, parts in the outreach and education section, Roman numeral 1B3 talks about presentations and working with the with CLA and with the other bar. And so I wanted to update the group that that since our last meeting, I did do a presentation with Greg Dorst from the other bar together with CLA. And it was a really interesting conversation about both programs, how we work, what's different and what's similar, and how we work together. And I've been making more of a specific efforts to work with Greg Dorst and some of our participants. And so we've had some really good interactions together of him being able to do the hands-on stuff that we can't do with LAP, that our staff are, you know, driving out to somebody, although I don't think he literally drove out to the person's house because of social distancing, but being able to be in contact with somebody and helping them get to a place where they're ready to start with LAP when somebody wasn't sober yet and wasn't ready to actually come into LAP. So that's been great. And I have had one person actually in a phone intake together with Jeff tell us that he saw that presentation. And so so people are getting the word out and contacting LAP from that. Also, CLA had a Wellness Wednesday that was talking about new attorney stresses and was referring people. I wasn't even on that call, but the other CLA members who were on it were giving LAP all kinds of, I guess, talking us up and saying what we could offer to these people and encouraging people to call the LAP. So I think that those collaborations are working and being fruitful. The program design and effective intervention section, Roman numeral 3A, talks about the satisfaction survey results and that I will provide those to the committee. So we have the results from the first quarter of 2021 for the question, so the goal is 80% of participants responding to the survey agree or strongly agree that, first question, the information and services effectively and appropriately address my goals. So 91% agreed or strongly agreed to that. And the next question, overall, I am satisfied with my LAP experience. 94% endorsed that they agree or strongly agree. So we're surpassing our 80% goal on that. So that's great, of course, because
Awesome.
it's not always the satisfied people who are choosing to answer voluntary satisfaction surveys. I also wanted to tell you all about our intakes. Like Lita had indicated, the outreach, something seems to be working. I attribute personally a lot of this to Lita and her outreach. So now that we have our intake numbers for the first quarter of 2021, and we can compare them to the beginning of 2020. So the first quarter of 2020, we had 32 new intakes. And that was pretty much right, you know, in March, we were starting to shut things down, but that was kind of the business as usual before the pandemic hit. And then the first quarter of this year, we've had 65 new intakes. So 32 last year, first quarter, 65 this year. So that is
Fantastic.
a huge increase.
Fantastic.
And similarly, I was able to pull together, we don't have, of course, the whole quarter, because the quarter's not over yet, but in April and May of 2020, we had 16. April and May of this year, 32 new intakes so far. So the word is out there. It explains all of the stress that our staff is feeling, legitimately feeling like they are just getting flooded with calls and new intakes. And this is why.
Hey, Michelle, is that broken down between mandatory and voluntary? And first of all, that's excellent work by everyone. Lita, you've been a huge asset, but Michelle and Jennifer and the rest of the team is doing an excellent job. And so, but I did want to know if, what percentage is part of the mandatory and what would be considered voluntary as part of those intakes?
It's very hard to tell because at the time of intake, the majority are on the voluntary side because they're not officially in the alternative discipline program yet, although some might be coming in because they know that that's what's coming down the line. So as the caseloads are right now, the mandatory, the two who are in mandatory CRCs have higher caseloads. What seems to be happening is people come in on the voluntary side, they stay voluntary for a little while, they get their intake, their monitoring plan and start off with group on the voluntary side and then later switch over to mandatory. Or they're coming on the voluntary side and they just want the support or they're becoming support cases and then they withdraw after the orientation and assessment where they get the free part of the services or they, you know, get what they need from a couple months of group and then they withdraw. So the caseloads on the voluntary side are cycling much more quickly and are lower caseloads. On the mandatory side, they're more stable caseloads that are a higher number.
Okay.
So it's really hard to tell if people are coming in. But it's really not only like the discipline cases coming in. We are having a good, I will see if there's a way that we can figure out like how many are just coming for the orientation and assessment part and getting the free service and then leaving. And as Lita mentioned, there's just a lot of people also who are only coming for the transition assistance service and not even joining these numbers in the bigger LAP program.
That is awesome, Michelle. I'm really happy to hear about these numbers. That's part of the reason why initially I pushed for surveys so that we can track this data every 90 days to make sure that we're appropriately measuring the work that we're doing and everyone is doing as well. So this is just awesome to hear. And I think it helps us to make more informed decisions because now we have statistical data that we can use.
Yeah, thank you. Another thing that we have in the strategic plan, the program design and effective intervention section, Roman numeral 2B, is regarding the policy and operations manual. And that is a project that Jeff is going to start working on. And that is certainly something that can be handled at the staff level. We already have a policy and operations manual that's labeled temporary because We haven't officially had it approved since we made that change. It's right, it was before the it was must have been 2019, so it was before the pandemic when we got rid of the old evaluation committee model and moved to the clinical review team model. And so the new information is in there, but I know no members of this committee yet have officially approved that manual. So we can continue doing the updates, or if there's anybody from this committee who wanted to work together with Jeff one-on-one on reviewing what's in the policy manual, we thought this would be a good opportunity for anybody to volunteer if you would like to, or just instruct us to continue with the work, and then we can bring the finished product when it's done to the committee.
I'll volunteer to help out.
Thank you.
All right. So I think, let's see, we talked about the collaborations and policy and operations manual and the statistics. Yeah, that's my update on the strategic plan goals.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Any questions on the strategic plan for Michelle? Seeing none. Okay, let's move on to Lori and the attorney supervision and assistance redesign project update.
Thank you. So just a reminder, our attorney supervision and assistance redesign update is our fancy name for saying we're redesigning how probation is handled for attorneys who are disciplined, and as it has ramifications for the people who are ordered into LAP through their discipline, but also just for any attorneys who are not in LAP but have substance use and mental health or behavioral health issues that are conditions of their discipline. We're trying to create a more collaborative probation type model, not just a self-rehabilitative. You've been ordered to be on probation. Every month you have to report and make sure you're complying with what you're doing. We're trying to take more of the evidence-based approach that is used in criminal probation now, which is trying to create more of a relationship between the person who's on probation and the probation case manager, and try to work with the person who's on probation to see what the underlying reasons are that maybe got them into trouble, and see if you can get them to comply with their conditions, identify areas where we can provide interventions to help them to be successful on probation. And by doing so, you're protecting the public and helping someone to maybe preserve their license and not recidivate and get back into trouble again. So part of that initiative is, the first step is just looking at what is involved currently in our probation process and how we can revamp it. One of the big things that we've been working on that I'm hoping to have information on in the next couple of weeks is to redo the way that the probation conditions are worded. For right now, the State Bar Court is very specific. They order every single item of probation very specifically. For example, if it's a substance use condition, the court says you must go to 2 AA meetings every month. You must have scheduled drug tests. You must, consult with LAP possibly, all those kinds of things. And they lay out all of the details. And what we're asking the court to do is to give more discretion to the probation case specialists to consult with an outside professional who would be an expert in the area on whatever the condition might be, and find out what the best interventions would be for the probationer. So for example, instead of saying you must go to 2 AA meetings a month, the condition would say you must, you have a substance use condition and must follow the directives of your probation case specialist. The probation case specialist would then talk to LAP or to whatever other appropriate professional we would go to come up with what is the best way to have that person deal with their substance use issue, so that they get more specific, tailored to their needs conditions. We're doing that in all areas. So that applies most to LAP, but we're asking also for things like somebody who's having issues running their law practice, they got into trouble because they weren't communicating with their clients properly. Then when you're talking with the respondent, you find out that's what their issue is, then the probation case specialist can recommend the appropriate maybe MCLE class they should take, or maybe they should recommend that they join a CLA group on law practice management and things like that. So we're asking for more discretion from the court in how we can work with the respondents. So the language that we proposed is with the court right now. They've told me they'll be meeting fairly soon to go over that and come back to us with their recommendations or approvals or not. And we're hoping that, again, we do get that discretion because we think it'll be a more helpful system for the respondents. Along with that, we're also, again, trying to revamp the way our probation case specialists work with the respondents. So to do that, we're having a lot of training. And one of the things we did, and we invited all of the lab staff as well to this, we had a training with our consultant who provides training through what is called the Arbinger Institute. And they, what they focus on is really an outward mindset. When you're working with someone in any circumstance, your personal life or in professional life, you should come at them with more of an outward mindset, trying to not look at them as an obstacle that you have to get out of their way, but more in a communication style where you're sharing the information on your side and really listening to what their responses are so that you can really consider where they're coming from as you're trying to talk with them. Arbinger works with the military quite a bit. They work with a lot of police forces and probation offices to try and get the mindset again of looking at somebody as somebody that you're communicating with and not somebody you're just ordering to do something. And so we had a really good training and learned some of the tools that Arbinger provides to kind of keep in the back of your mind in terms of when you're having a discussion with someone, you know, how you can approach that discussion. And there's simple things, you know, that, and for example, in your mind, an image of turning your chairs. If you're talking to somebody and you're both facing away from each other, right? Just talking yourselves, you think in your mind, all right, if I turn my chair and try and really talk to the person and listen to what they're saying back, maybe that will get them also to sort of turn their chair toward me and be better at sharing information. And so these are the kinds of tools that when we had our training, they gave us to start thinking about. And really what we're hoping is our probation case specialists in approaching the work with the respondents when they have their first meeting, you know, you can say, look, instead of you're on probation, this is what you must have to do. And they don't really do that. Our people are good, but the idea would be to treat it more, and it's a lot of the ways that the CRCs work in LAP is, you know, you're on probation, we realize this is a difficult situation for you. Let's talk about how we can get you through probation so that you can successfully succeed off and come off probation and retain your law license. Now, we realize you have conditions you have to fulfill, but maybe we can find ways to work through those with you and get you to be successful. And so that's what we're working toward, is trying to get more of a collaborative model in working with the respondents. And so we're again, we have it's a big project. It's really revamping completely how we do probation. And all of the offices of the State Bar really are involved because we're going to need OCTC to be on board with this, and they're part of our steering committee on this. State Bar Court is a big part. A lot of it is going to require some rule changes. So that is going to involve obviously the Supreme Court in approving the rules. And of course, then we're going to have to bring in our respondents and respondents counsel to teach them how this new probation style is going to work. So things at the bar don't move quickly because you have to involve everybody and keep things moving, but we're really putting together the framework for this. And I think we're getting some good progress on that. And again, this conditions language, if the court works with us on it and approves it, will be a big piece of that. Then we'll move on to some of the other pieces of this project, one of which is, but still down the line, is trying to create a new collaborative court model for the people who do have substance use or behavioral health issues. Right now we have our ADP program, and what we hope to do is to examine how the ADP program works, which is our alternative discipline program, and to see if we can come up with more of a collaborative court model like they use in the criminal courts to have like a drug court. And to identify people early on who maybe you can get into that special court and help them through their discipline issues, and again, help them preserve their license in a different way. So like I said, there's a lot going on with it. We're making progress, slow and steady progress, I would say. And I'm hoping to have some more updates. Mr. Heiding is on our steering committee, and I'm thinking probably by the end of summer, we'll have another meeting with the steering committee to update that whole group as to where we are and what our next big steps will be. Are there any questions?
I really like that. And I would say that we can even provide evidence of the statistical data and feedback that we've gotten from participants in our surveys.
Yeah, and when we do, Michelle works with me on this a lot, as do the people who are at the mandatory LAP side. And we come to LAP a lot as a resource for us so that we can see that the way that they approach and work with people creates positive relationships and helps, people to get through their programs. And the respondent population who've been disciplined, can be a difficult population. Some of them are not going to want to work with us, right? They're just not going to want to. They may be already on a path to disbarment and we might not be able to reach them. But the ones who have issues that if you intervene and provide them with a resource that can help to improve their practice or whatever the issue was that got them into trouble, and we can keep them from having to, get further discipline or be on that path to disbarment, then that would be great. And so the more we can do to at least to reach out and try and work with them more collaboratively, the better as far as I'm concerned. And so that's what we're trying to move toward. Any other questions or comments on that? Thank you.
So that is the end of our agenda. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask a quick question before, will Jennifer send out dates for the doodle for the next meeting, or I'm just have some idea when that might be scheduled so I can try to not go out of the country or something?
Michelle, usually the third meeting of the year is in September, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so we usually meet once a quarter. I suppose then we should clarify, is the meeting with the group facilitators the regular oversight committee meeting where we're inviting the group facilitators, or do you all want to schedule an entirely separate meeting with our group?
I think it would be a entirely separate meeting. That's we voted on having a special meeting for that. So sometime between now and September, we would have that meeting.
All right, so since we'll have to find the date and notice it a minimum of 10 days in advance, let's look at the end of July, beginning of August to set up that. Yeah, end of July should be time to set up that meeting with the group facilitators, and then we'll be able to schedule our regular quarterly meeting with this committee for September.
Sounds good.
Move to adjourn.
A second.
Any objections? Seeing none, it's great to see you all.
Same.
And I hope you're all well. And we will see you in probably a few weeks or a month or so.
Thank you.
Sounds
Same to
good.
you. Best wishes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you,
Same.
everybody.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.